of humble means, a firm hand on the farm, shepherds of rolling herds fetching feed for the famished of the flock. There was no power in his homestead, but everyone agreed. His heart shone with the radiance of 1,000 fireflies, regardless of how dark the night. These were different times, grassroots times. Kojoli was the place he first learned to dream, under the soft glow of crackling firewood flame, to ask, what miracle can these papa hands grow, and to pray the prayer of a seed in dirt.
I see my country being stripped.
But dirt is a fertile ground for the germination of being. This story, from the wind-swept northeastern landscapes in all their glorious barrenness, with the gates of his father's house
Cycling themselves. If this tomorrow must come, we will have to create it ourselves. But this time, with someone we can trust. Someone who understands our pain. And so I call on every Nigerian youth. Come 2023, come out and vote. Because our vote is our power. When you vote, vote for a man we can trust. Vote for a breath of fresh air. Vote Atiku for president.
Good morning and welcome to Headline Roundup. My name is Ijoma Udumudu and I'll be your host for today, your only host today actually. So insecurity seems to be thriving across the entire country. It is seemingly a big industry, and we have the Maybuni coming out to talk about the destruction of infrastructure in his state following Boko Haram activities in the state, across the state. And we also have UNN students on their way back to school abducted just after a military checkpoint. And it seems that on that same road, the UNN students weren't the only one being, the only ones rather being abducted. Yesterday, Thursday, a group of travelers were also abducted on the same road. And you would think that the Federal Capital Territory will be left out of these attacks. Unfortunately, despite the comments by the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, there are still insecurity threats in Abuja. Recall that earlier in the week, the U.S. Embassy situated here in Abuja released circulars warning about threat alerts across the entire Capital Territory. And the Minister of Information chided them and said that there was no such thing. However, a lot of organizations within the Federal Capital Territory are beginning to shut down. Amongst these are the Play nightclub in Transcorp Hilton and the famous Jabi Lake Mall. We also have the FCDA cracking down on shanties and closing down shanties across the state as security measures have tightened. It is a lot of security beef up across the Capital Territory, and it's very obvious to everybody that there is a threat. Also looking at these threats, we see suspected ISWAP members that were arrested right here in the Capital Territory. 30 fighters and 5 commanders of ISWAP have been arrested at different locations across Abuja. And you want to wonder, for a country or for a government that said it was going to crack down on insecurity in 3 months, to have made this much arrest. And you ask, if we have ISWAP members in the Federal Capital Territory, then we should be taking the warnings seriously, the warnings from the U.S. Embassy and the fresh alerts issued by the U.K. also. We should be taking this a lot more seriously. We know that U.S. is beginning to evacuate its diplomats, non-essential employees, and their family members from the Federal Capital Territory. We also have U.K. Restricting activities in its embassies and telling its citizens, advising its citizens not to visit the country, not to visit Federal Capital Territory in particular, in addition to 14 other states. And this is a sad time that we are in as Nigerians, where we have our Federal Capital Territory under attack. There is a lot of tension across the country. We can see it across the state as well. We can see a lot of tension. We also have the Trademore Estates bust in Luwe, the Federal Capital Territory, following a joint operation by security forces, a suspect was arrested with weapons, and these suspects was trying to make explosives with the intention of bombing churches. It is a sad one, and it does seem like Abuja is under fire and is under threat. We'll go on a short break now, and when we return, we'll be looking at one of the major headlines, the Guardian newspaper, and what the headlines are, the stories that it's carrying. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Growing up as a little boy, we were told every day that we were the leaders of tomorrow. Good roads, stable power supply, good education, job opportunities, political inclusion, better health care, reduction of the cost of living were some of the things we were promised in tomorrow. We were so excited about the hope we had been fed with about tomorrow. But days went by, years went by, and tomorrow never came. Turned out there was never really a plan for tomorrow. It was all a lie to keep us in their mental slavery. Because with each day that goes by, I see my country being stripped of her glory. But we know better now. We are more aware now. It is time to take our country back from these hijackers who keep recycling themselves. If this tomorrow must come, we will have to create it ourselves. But this time, with someone we can trust. Someone who understands our pain. And so I call on every Nigerian youth. Come 2023, come out and vote. Because our vote is our power. When you vote, vote for a man we can trust. Vote for a breath of fresh air. Vote Atiku for president.
And silver spoons dipped into stews garnished with privilege. In this story, the king was once a peasant, a humble son to parents of humble means. A firm hand on the farm, shepherds of rolling herds fetching feed for the famished of the flock. There was no power in his homestead, but everyone agreed. His heart shone with the radiance of 1,000 fireflies, regardless of how dark the night. These were different times, grassroots times. Kojoli was the place he first learnt to dream, under the soft glow of crackling firewood flame, to ask, what miracle can these pauper hands grow, and to pray the prayer of a seed in dirt. But dirt is a fertile ground for the germination of being. This story, from the wind-swept northeastern landscapes in all their glorious barrenness, with the gates of his father's house shut against the penetration of Western education, it seemed like the future would be full of doors no son of Garba would be able to unlock. But destiny is a dogged shadow, chasing and chasing until it caught him in Jada. God bless Kau Ali, who had learned to believe, even in those grassroots times grazed by doubt. He would register the little dreamer in a school and did not scorn his baby steps as if to say, yes, even the Iroko was once a tender seedling, learning to survive the rage of seasons. So dream, let the stars guide you. This story is about the path the dreamer towed through toil and tremor, tempest and tide, eating failure like yams. Some of them were hard to swallow, but it takes a man thirsty for triumph to keep watering his spirit when losses come encroaching like desert sands. Orphaned at 11, mother's heart gave up when the star of a chap began to glisten. He faced the world with a wrestled smile. Someone once said, grace is God's gift to you, but discipline is the gift you give yourself. Tito your daddo. This is Atiku, and Lord knows it takes a man yearning for mastery to refuse to open the door when the urge to give up comes knocking. This is Atiku, giving back generously to the very land that turned its back on him. Mounted castles where only shacks once stood. This is Atiku, who does not just say education is the key, but has forayed into the very furnace to forge many keys for our children. The man who has stood the test of age and times, who has ascended realms only few have dreamt. This is Atiku, battled the pressures of the Echelon to return to us as the diamond in the sky, who has scattered his seeds of unity in a land fragmented by shallow loyalties. Atiku, the man who has built empathy out of resentment, resilience out of defeat, and grace out of grass. This is Atiku, wazirin Adamawa, namiji barkono, mai akuya yayi tafiyan dare ma bale mai kura, ai wajen saukan doki ba wajen saukan jirgi bane ba, kuma koda kura baya cizo ai ba za a hada ta da rago ba, kuma mun san cewa kowa na Allah ne amma dai damo ai na mai gona ne. This man, willing to speak our problems into the light and articulate solutions for the good of all. Atiku, the man for whom our collective struggle is but a deja vu, and trust the man who has done it once to do it again. For out of Jada, a bud of hope has risen like a prophecy, and this time it will not wither in vain. By the light of his heart and the willingness of the people as active stakeholders in the business of actualizing the greater tomorrow we all dream. Nigeria, the universe is calling. It is our time to answer.
Good morning and welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Headline Roundup. Before we went on break, we were looking at the various insecurity threats across the nation and across the Federal Capital Territory in particular. And we'll quickly look at the Guardian newspaper encapsulating or capturing one of these threats. And as reported by the UK, let's quickly look at what the Guardian is saying. The terror threat at arrest of suspects, UK's updated advisory heightened fears in Abuja. Despite repeated assurances by the government, insecurity fears have heightened yesterday at the Federal Capital Territory, and it says that Abuja malls have shut down operations as DSS remains mum. FCTA reclaims law school land. Political parties should suspend mass rallies, says Akinyemi. Abuja is safe. FCT ministers declare. Stop grandstanding. Work with Pentagon to respond to security advisory. Don't tell FG. I mean, again, what it looks like is amidst the insecurity threats, it looks like the federal government is trying to downplay the extent of the threat to the citizens of Abuja. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory saying that all is under control. The Minister of Information assuring us that all is under control, and the federal government saying that all is well, despite the insecurity threats and the attacks across Abuja. I mean, it shows yet again, a government that lacks the sincerity to tell Nigerians, to tell its citizens exactly what is happening. I mean, everybody can say it. We had civil servants who are not turning up for work. They are not showing up at work. We had the Federal Secretariat lacking a lot of its members because people are scared to show up. The roads are empty. The Wuse beggar access, the roads are virtually empty. It is a very serious time, perilous times that we're at. And it really looks like Abuja is under threat, despite the fact that the federal government and its cabinet members seem to be denying this fact. We do urge all Nigerians and every Nigerian living in Abuja particularly to be conscious, security conscious, and you can reach out to call just to protect state. Maibuni lamenting the state of the infrastructure in the state following Boko Haram attacks. The Yobe State Governor, Honorable Mai Malabuni, has lamented that the destruction of infrastructure due to activities of insurgents across the state was unimaginable and cannot be rebuilt by the state government alone. Buni, through his spokesperson, Maman Mohammed, in a statement, raised the concern on Thursday in Damaturu, where receiving officials and members of the Progressive Young Forum. I mean, the state of security in the nation, and it seems that things seem to be getting worse across the country and nothing has been done about it. I mean, we mentioned earlier that yesterday the Jabilik Mall was shut down. We also have that Play nightclub in Transcorp Hilton has also been shut down following this security threat, and shanties are also being shut down. The FCTA is reclaiming land, law school land, all because of this insecurity threat. I mean, there is a lot going on. There was also a report that the the security operatives are holding their joint task forces across Abuja, and there's a lot of tight security across the nation. So people are having difficulties moving from one place to another. I mean, these are all laudable approaches from the security operative to make sure that this insecurity is curtailed. But I mean, we're looking at this. It's also important for us to note that the UNN students' kidnap happened just after a military checkpoint. So we know that there is a lot more that is still yet to be done. And perhaps maybe we are underestimating the level of insecurity that has hit the country. It is something we have to look at. Now we'll move to Sokoto State, where police have arrested a man with 101 permanent voters cards. Operatives of the Sokoto State Police Command have arrested one Nasiru Idris for allegedly having 101 permanent voters cards in his possession. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Hussein Gumel, made this known during a press conference on Thursday. INEC does have a lot to answer with regards to this. We know that there are procedures for collection of PVCs, and you have to collect PVCs by yourself. I mean, this is stipulated on the INEC website, where it says that for you to get your PVC, you have to go to the point of collection and get it by yourself. So you will want to ask how one person is in possession of 101 PVCs. How did this get into his possession? I mean, INEC has a lot of questions to answer in this regard. What is going on, and how many more people have access to other people's PVCs? What are these PVCs going to be used for? Are the 2023 elections going to be free and fair? I think that's the big question that is on the minds of everybody. And INEC has a lot of work to do to ensure that the elections are free and fair, and not just to ensure, but to convince Nigerians that it is going to remain independent throughout this electoral process, that the umpires are going to be unbiased in the administration of their duties. And I mean, we've had accusations by the CUPP against INEC in a format like this, in this regard. So INEC does have a lot to address in this regard, and we hope that they come out and they make their stand clear, and they do explain to us exactly what is going on and put these rumors that INEC is biased to rest. We move to Trademore Estate in Lube. Yet again, with the insecurity threat, we have that terrorists targets Catholic churches. Winners, Mountain of Fire, RCCG. The suspected terrorists arrested by security operatives in Trademore Estate, Airport Road, Lube, Abuja, with explosive devices and guns, have plotted to attack churches in the area. A single operation carried out by the operatives of the Directorate of the State Security, DSS, in the early hour of Tuesday led to the arrest of the suspect. The suspect was smoked out of a rented BQ apartment in the police quarters of the state, where he rented and was perfecting plans to bomb targeted churches in the estate. The churches targeted by the bomber include St. John Mary Vianney Catholic Church, Winners Chapel, Mountain of Fire, and Redeemed Christian Church of God. I mean, while the efforts by the DSS is commendable, we would like to ask how these explosives and these guns got into the city in the first place. I mean, if the suspect was truly arrested from a BQ in the police quarter of the state, then there is a big problem. How was he able to carry these weapons unnoticed? How was he able to carry these materials unnoticed into the police quarters of the estate? And it is a worrisome thought. We've seen people aggregating at different parts of the city, and we know that the lives and property of the citizens of Abuja are at risk, at an increased risk, as has been warned by the US Embassy and the UK Commission. And these are things that we need to start looking at. Everybody needs to beef up their security. Everybody needs to be security conscious. The last time we saw bombs in Abuja, or explosions in Abuja rather, were over 10 years ago, sometime in 2013. And we don't know that we want to go back to that era. We don't want to go back to the era where we are scared to go out and because of security threats. I think if the right thing had been done in the past 8 years, we would not be where we are today. It is important that we stop politicizing insecurity, that we stop politicizing this threat, and we do what is necessary. The government agencies need to take action. The government needs to come clean to its citizens, to be accountable to the people that have put them in that position and tell them exactly what is going on. And that insecurity that has been used as a tool is no longer used as a tool, but the lives of the and property of the citizens are being secured, because at the end of the day, these are the same citizens that we are governing, or they are governing. So it is important that these threats be curtailed. We would like that for the Minister of Information to be more honest or more sincere with Nigerians in his statements, and his statements should reflect the true state of things. Well, that's the much that we can take on Headline Roundup today. Do join us again tomorrow when we bring you all of the latest headlines making rounds across Nigeria and the globe. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ijoma Udumodu. Connect with us on all of our social media platforms, all of our handles showing on your screen right now. You can also reach us with our contact, our official contact. They will be shown on the screen right now. Join us again tomorrow for another exciting episode. Thank you.
Growing up as a little boy,